Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I picked up two new Leathermans I wanted to kind of talk about. So I had initially hopped on the Leatherman website when the new garage batch was released, which I don't know, at first I was about to, I had it in my cart, was about to buy it, but then I kind of more looked at it, it was basically, just another T4 with a corkscrew for the most part, so I just didn't quite didn't I don't know if I could justify in my head to spend that money. And then the more I thought about it, it sold out, so they made it made it easier for me. But then I said, I should just get the T4 here anyway, just to try it out. It's been on my radar for a while. Um, I hesitated really because of the lack of tools, which I'll kind of get into here in a second. But just to kind of do a quick dive into it here, this is the box, nothing fancy here, no thrills. It uses the free kind of release system, which I'm a huge fan of. This is my favorite multi-tool today is the P4. This magnetic thing is just amazing. I'm like blown away how useful and practical this has been. You know, with one hand, it's just been amazing. So huge fan of it. So obviously, I've kind of been looking at these other free tools that they've launched and have thought about them as well. But I haven't, and I did until now, and I'll kind of talk about that in a second here. But if I can get any specs worth noting here, the one thing is size-wise, it's actually, pretty darn similar to like a Swiss Army knife. In the hand, they feel really the same. This one does feel, the Leatherman feels a little bigger because the Swiss Army knife kind of does a nice job of kind of rounding it off, where this one's a little bit more kind of jagged. So when you're holding this one, the Leatherman does feel a little bit bigger, but for the most part, I would consider these to be same. If we throw them on a scale, just to kind of give an idea for weight here, let's take a look at this, put in grams. All right, so for the T4, we're looking at 124 grams. Swiss Army knife, we're looking at 113. Granted, I got the clip on, which adds some weight, but if we throw like the big boy here, you can kind of see 249. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't consider it heavy. Specs wise, like I said, it's looking about the same size. If we put it next to the other, actually, names are for the P4 for pliers, so you can kind of see the difference in size here. About the same thickness, actually. Maybe it's a little thicker, obviously, since it's much heavier, but height-wise, a little bit of a difference. So, I mean, really, it's the most distinct difference is obviously the weight. It feels much heavier, but you kind of start looking at them, it's, the size just isn't as drastic differently as you would think it would be. Obviously, this one is probably put them lay flat. That one's obviously taller, but yeah. But anyway, moving into this watch, kind of taking a deep dive. So tool-wise is kind of where this knife or tool falls short. Tool selection is pretty minimal, and it's frustrating because I felt like it could have been better. So if we pull the tools out, you can kind of see that it's really got three slots on each side. Scissors, your auger, your screwdriver, file, which actually is pretty good. I like their files, are very good files. Kind of your pry bar, screwdriver, and then your knife. Now, and they also have tweezers right here, which I think is a bad place for it. I think they could have found a better place. It's not really secure. If you hit this knife, this will work its way out. But what really kind of bugs me about this tool is, I love it. It is, it is what it is, right? You know ahead of time what you're getting, so you can't really be mad that you got tricked. So it's more of like, I feel like they could have done better. And this is where Leatherman needs to take a cue from Swiss Army knife. Like Swiss Army knife, they pack this thing. They leave no space unused. They stick a tool every little crevice they can to maximize its efficiency. Where Leatherman just says, F it, we got enough. Look at these huge clunks of plastic on each side. I can't think of a reason why that could not be a tool in there. For example, if we look at the knife, right? The knife comes up against this one. So obviously it's thin, but I don't understand why, like the screwdriver couldn't gone over there, or even something short, like one of these shank adapters could have gone in there. It's not very thick. I don't know, something. It's just a waste of space. And then the other one that backs up against the scissors even has even more room, because the scissors, they're very thin up here. So when you look at the scissors, I mean, look how thin the scissors are. So you got all this room here. I mean, that easily, I think, could have fit like a bit adapter. I mean, how much better would this have been? And it's got the right thickness for it to fit it in there. It's just kind of frustrating that Leatherman just kind of like just doesn't do it. I mean, you could have easily fit that bit driver in there, and I think the scissors would have closed just fine. So that's really my only gripe with this, is that like Leatherman just doesn't really quite execute to the level of Swiss Army knife. I mean, they make good tools, but it's like, I don't know. I just don't understand why they couldn't fit more tools in there. I mean, Swiss Army knife does it. But yeah, that's really the only disappointing thing about this, is how much better it could have been. I mean, I still like it. It's still, the free system is just awesome that it makes this. I mean, it's still a great tool. I still like it. It just frustrates me at thinking about, man, how much better this could have been if they just, added the additional tools to it. So that's really my only gripe with it. Outside of that, I'm very happy with it. I enjoy carrying it. But honestly, this is where the dilemma comes into play, is which do you take? The Swiss Army knife, which, just for comparison, we're looking at the same footprint. And hang on a second, look at it closer so I don't cut myself here. And this is what I mean. See how hard to take these stupid things out? This is where the free system, and I already cracked the nail. This is where the free system excels, is just the ease of removing these tools. But so this is just one side. You can kind of see the tool comparison, and then these are even, yeah, I can't even get these out, to be honest. So I'm not even gonna bother. But you get the idea. I mean, just way more tools in a Swiss Army knife, but pain in the ass to use. So it's like, do you want more tools, or do you want ease of use, or do you want both? And I felt like this could have had both. But so that's my take on the T4. Great tool. It just kind of will frustrate me knowing that it could have been better. The last one I picked up was the Micra. And the Micra, honestly, I got it just to say I've tried it. I'm going into it, I knew I wasn't going to be a huge fan of it, but I just wanted to test it out. The first thing I don't like about the Micra is what I don't like any tool. Any multi-tool that you have to open to get the tools out is automatic deal breaker for me, because it just makes it cumbersome to use. Like if we look at the squirt, it's in closed state. You can still pull the knife out. You can still pull the file out. You can still access a lot of tools with it closed. The Micra is the biggest pain, because if you want to access something, you have to open it, and now you gotta, if you want to cut something, this is what you're working with. Kind of a pain to kind of have all this open. So, but again, that going into it. So it is what it is. But that's just one of the things I don't like about tools that do that. The only thing I'm actually disappointed in, which came as a surprise, is the build quality, because look how much wobble is on here. So this joint is very wobbly and loose. Very loose. I would not expect that on a Leatherman. That's something you would typically find, like, some cheap AliExpress tools. But this one, very loose. I might actually have to return this, because it's just disappointing how loose it is. It cuts fine, but it just kind of feels very cheap and wobbly in the hand with how loose it is. But otherwise, if you don't particularly care about accessing your tools from the inside like that, it's a great tool. You have a good selection of tools here. Let's see here. Some of them I feel like, I don't know, do you really need them? Like, this file's pretty crappy. They make a good file. So this is, again, my frustration with Leatherman. They clearly make a good file. Like, this is an awesome file. Small, but it's a really effective, useful file, right? So they have it. But no, they stick this one in there. It's like, why? It's just like you're just making it crappy on purpose. Like, really, again, this would have fit in there just fine, and you would have had a great file that you can actually use. Nope, they give us this thing, which is nothing more than a nail file, which, sure, it works, but again, you have a better option, why not use it? Then you get the, I like these multi-tools: small screwdriver, can opener or bottle opener, screwdriver, ply bar, and then tweezers, which I'm not a fan of these kind of tweezers. It makes it kind of hard to work with. Again, they could have, I don't know, found a better way to implement them, but it is what it is. So overall, you know, it's a no surprise tool. So some people may not care about the things that I care about, so that's fine. I think I'll be happy. Like I said, the only thing that was surprising was the wobbly scissors. So you've got a little bit of a measuring stick here as well, which is kind of cool. But yeah, for the price, you could do a lot worse. So, but I would still take the squirt over any day. All right, well, that's it. That's kind of my quick and dirty review on my two new Leathermans. You know, I would recommend this one. I would get it despite some of its shortcomings, but this one, you know, I would much rather get the squirt over the, unless you're leaning the scissors, obviously. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next video. Thank you.